they've come up with an explanation that says there could be a super Earth-sized planet, so a planet between the size of Earth and Neptune, very, very far out, such that its orbit around the sun would take almost 20,000 years.
Right.
So is it there? Is it not? Are there other explanations?
But look, we were already seeing planets in other solar systems. What's amazing is that we would have missed one this big in our own.
It is, but on the other hand, if it has this huge orbit, and you have to be looking at the right place at the right time, but the fact that we haven't seen it makes me a bit skeptical. Their intriguing point is we've identified lots of planets in this category of super Earths with our Kepler Space Telescope, over 5,000 planet candidates. The fact that we don't have a planet in that size class between Earth and Neptune makes us think, well, maybe we are missing one, and maybe they've predicted it.
But what it does show, and you'll, I think, bear me out on this, is that it is quite an exciting time. I mean, there still seems, it's not like we've discovered all there is to discover, have we? There's just so much coming in. We have the comet landing on the comet. I mean, it's just endless.
When I talk to school kids, I say, you know, you need to major in science, technology, engineering, and math, because what's going to happen over the next 20 years as we start exploring these planets around other stars that we've been discovering with our Kepler Space Telescope, we're going to start analyzing their atmospheres with our James Webb Space Telescope that'll launch in a few years. And so there's going to be exploring the understanding why these planets around other stars potentially happen.
And so in the final analysis, surviving a tribulation is less about the having of things and more about the knowing of things. Because you don't want to hold on to things. We want to hold on to each other. This is the path. This is the message I'm trying to get out to folks. And I'm doing the best I can, and I hope I can make a difference in the final analysis, but I'm never going to stop trying.
Now, we all know about 2012. It came and went, the Mayan date, you know. This November 2017, is this it for Planet X Nibiru? If it doesn't come, that's it?
No, it's coming. And by the way, with 2012, okay, 2012 was a Mayan harbinger date. It wasn't the event. Prophecy has a harbinger and it has an event. The harbinger is a non-destructive signal that says you are on the timeline to this major catastrophe. We have been tracking. You look at you go on, we have signs, articles, and videos on my website. Now, we did an analysis. We looked back at the statistical data, and right after December 21, 2012, fireballs and earthquakes just skyrocketed. And they've continued to skyrocket. All right. So the Mayans were saying, here's a celestial alignment that's going to tell you need to prepare for a bad time. They didn't say it would happen on that time. We were sold a bill of goods by the media. They went off the deep end with that story, and now people are going, well, 2012 was like nothing ever happened and all that nonsense. No, go to my website. There's a link up there for signs. Look at my signs videos. Look at all the signs articles. We're tracking this hard data. The Mayans were dead right. We were dead wrong by trusting in the media telling us all of this stuff. When I was interviewed by National Geographic, they asked me, they said, Marshall, is there a direct correlation between Planet X and 2012? At the time, because that was in August of 2012, I said, no, I don't see a direct correlation. They said, what are you going to be doing on that day? I said, I'm making coffee. My prediction came to pass. That's what I did on that day. I made coffee. But it wasn't until afterwards that we went back and we said, well, what happened after December 21, 2012? And that's when all of a sudden we're going, earthquakes of all magnitudes, explosive. You know, it's like Roadrunner Coyote cartoons, and the Roadrunner gets on the Roadrunner is going around, Coyote gets on the Acme rocket, lights the fuse, goes straight up. Okay? Right after, you look at our data, we have it up there, right after December 21, 2012, fireballs and earthquakes of all magnitudes, both of them. The data is clear. It's the coyote riding the Acme rocket darn near straight up into the sky. And it has not abated. It keeps getting worse and worse and worse and worse. So, again, I'm trying to shed some light. I'm trying to shed some hard science, empirical data, the kind of stuff you can take to the bank. But people much rather go, well, we were stupid back then, and we were bilked, and I was humiliated in front of my whole family, and I'm never going to look at it ever again because I want to die like an ignoramus. That's the smart thing to do. People in awareness have a hard time. It's like a person in awareness is like the only someone that has one good eye in the land of the blind, and the blind people are all saying, you need to do the intelligent thing. Get a sharp stick and poke out your one good eye so you can be clever like the rest of us. You want to die that way, go do it. Best of luck with that. But for those in awareness, those that are seeing it coming, they're quietly moving. They're relocating. They're doing what they're doing. In my church, one of the things I do when people come into the church, I do relocation conferences. And they can attend. It's free. I used to do this. I could, for $100 an hour. Now I just do it for free for the folks that are in my church. And they can have as many conferences with me as possible. Why? Because I'm about people surviving this. I'm going to keep doing it for as long as I can and just hope to God I can make a difference.
Marshall Masters, great show. Kind of freaked out, to be honest. I live right in the middle of the city, so I can't even get from one end of downtown to the other in an hour. Getting out of town in the middle of a crisis, it's not going to happen.
Well, I'm going to tell you, Russell, you're coming into awareness, and I'll tell you what the experience is like. It was the same for me, and it's the same for everybody else. Coming into awareness feels like somebody just up and slapped you upside the head with a dead salmon, and you're just standing there spitting scales wondering what in the hell just happened. That's awareness, my friend. It will pass. And then you'll sit down and you'll decide, am I going to live intelligently and walk humbly with my God, or am I going to die like a fool? It's just as simple as that.
To the audience, check out marshallmasters.com. You can get his newest book.
Yes, Survival Wellness Advocacy and the Big Win. And at knowledgemountain.org, you can download that in free ebook edition. Okay. And I do it. If you're wondering, well, is this my cup of tea? Well, get the book, get the ebook for free and read it. Because after you read that, you'll know if this is your cup of tea or not.
Yeah, you can't beat that, Marshall.
And it didn't cost you a penny.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that, and so should the audience. The link to the article is Planet X Nearing Perihelion is on the Russell Scott.
Immediately, you're going to be able to kill them in location. If you can get people who are starting to become aware to procrastinate and not do something, again, you come back to number 3. You kill them with location. It's as simple as that. It is as brutal and as ugly as the Nazi final solution to exterminate the Jews in Europe. Nobody could have believed it, but it happened. It was just a simple idea. We need to kill a whole lot of people. And they went and they did it. And that's what's going to happen here. The elites have decided they need to kill a whole lot of people, and the easiest way to do it is just say, we didn't do this. We didn't do this. That big ugly rock up in the sky, that did that.
They couldn't save 9 billion if they wanted.
The real thing, though, is not about the number of people that are, it's not about the body count, okay? It's not about the body count.
But you're suggesting that there's some malevolency to this.
Oh, absolutely. There is. And for people that like to give other folks the benefit of the doubt, even when they're lying to their faces, that's a hard thing to stomach, isn't it? But that's just the way it is. And the reason why they want to reduce the population. It's not because they're conservationists and they're going, we need to be good stewards of the earth and we're polluting everything. And, no, that's not it. The reason why they want that many people to die is that during the tribulation, the interesting thing that's going to happen is we are going to be dying in vast numbers. But when we do, we will be dying as a free species. We will be free of the yoke of slavery. What they have to do once things start to settle down is they got to get us back. They got to get the yoke of slavery back on our shoulders. And that's where their plan really is. So what they'll do is they're going to wait until, and this will be, we're going to pass through the tail, and you're going to have all this iron oxide and meteor showers. Matter of fact, you go and if you take the story of Noah's flood and Exodus and you put them together, that's really the whole scope of what we're facing. And they're going to come up towards the tail end, the last major event of the tribulation. The tribulation will continue because the earth has gone through some very radical changes and it's going to have to settle down.
There have been several mass extinction events, 4 or 5.
That's right. And actually, we're in the 6th one, which is the Holocene extinction event, which is man-made.
Does nature know that there's an impending... nature understands cycles, right? So perhaps nature knows this is coming and has initiated its own mass extinction event. Perhaps Planet X is behind the mass extinction of the dinosaurs.
Well, that's funny you should ask, because the very first article I published on Planet X was in January 2002, and the title was, Did Planet X Kill the Dinosaurs? That was the very first question that came to my mind. And a fine gentleman, at the Smithsonian Astrophysics Observatory, helped me, Dr. Marsden. He's passed away. Fine gentleman. He actually helped me with the research on that. And it could have very well have been. See, one of the things that is going to happen here is that this system, as it comes in, is pulling a bunch of stuff behind it, but it's also pushing a lot of stuff in front of it. And it's also coming through our system like the mother of all cue balls. And so it's knocking stuff into Earth-crossing orbits that normally would never, they're totally benign. They're sitting there floating around the sun, or, they're inside of our orbit and they're never going to be a concern to us. But this thing's coming through and it's dislodging them. And all of a sudden they go from being absolutely not a problem to a problem. And they come at us. Now, an example of that is the Chelyabinsk meteor detonated over Russia in, February of 2013. And it was really interesting when that happened because NASA was completely distracting everybody with the story about this other asteroid, and I can't remember the name of it, that was supposed to fly through a keyhole in space. And if it flew through this keyhole, then it would come back and be a real threat to the planet. And so there was all this mystery and all of this wonder and all of this hype about, will it fly through the keyhole on this day? And on that very day, this meteor detonates, air bursts over Russia, releasing the equivalent of 30 Hiroshima atomic bombs in energy, and at that moment was 30 times brighter than the sun. I call it a 30-30 event. 1,500 buildings were damaged. 1,500 people were injured. Many more buildings were damaged as a result of that event. And, the media was pounding on NASA. They're going, you had us looking completely the other way and nothing happened. It was a no-show event. Kind of anticlimactic, as you would say. And then this doggone thing hits. And you didn't see it coming, caught you completely unawares. And I mean, the media was once in a while, I mean, we have a tightly controlled media. It's a propaganda outlets now. It is fake news. And, but, you know, once in a while they get on their high horse and they get, you know, they can ask the obvious question that everybody else is. And finally, NASA had to come out and say, you know, we didn't see it coming because it came at us from behind the sun, and we don't look out that way.
It just happened again last week, Marshall.
Mm-hmm.
There was a near miss, or as Carlin says, a near hit.
Mm-hmm.
It came extremely close, I think within 1/10 of the moon's orbit. That's crazy. That's within the orbit of satellites.
That's within, yeah. And so this is the kind of stuff that's going to happen. They're going to, you know, they're going to want to keep the lid on it. Nothing to see here, folks. Move along. They're going to keep assuring us that, you know, that's the way it is. Now, what I'm saying in this article is Planet X nearing perihelion. There are two very prominent fellows that have made predictions for this year. In 2008, on Project Camelot interview with Carrie Cassidy, Bob Dean said that, you know, she's asking him, when's this going to happen? When's this flyby going to happen? And he said 2017, and you can take it to the bank. That caught my attention. And then he said he had confirmed that we will, when the worst part of the flyby, when it's going from perihelion to the ecliptic, that's the kill zone, we're going to be on the same side of the sun. Okay, so we're talking about a Noah's flood worst case scenario. This is going to be bad. Now, you have Major Ed Dames, all right, remote viewing. I've taken one of his classes, you know. In 2004, he published a video called The Kill Shot. His publicist sent me a copy of it, and I kept on to it. And what I realized was that in 2004, he really had, with remote viewing, he had nailed this on a big picture basis better than anybody else at the time. And what he's talking about, a kill shot, is what we call solar sprites, all right, or cosmic lightning, if you will. And this is just as simple as a bug zapper, all right, how bug zappers are going to work. If you get hit by one of these things, it's going to tear up a chunk of the planet's surface. Now, you know, there are people that say the Grand Canyon on our planet was created by water erosion. And, you know, I've flown through it. I've been in the Grand Canyon, and I just like, you know, I don't know that, you know, what's wrong with this picture or this explanation, but, you know, let's leave that aside for the moment. Look at Mars. The largest canyon in our solar system is not on Earth. It's on Mars, Val Marineris, massively huge. Now, are they going to tell us that there was enough water on Mars to create Val Marineris? I don't think so. But a solar sprite is exactly the kind of thing that would dig that thing in the way it did. And so what he is seeing is that we're going to have an Earth-directed solar sprite because of the interaction between Nemesis and the sun. And it's going to arc a spark, just like spark plugs, okay? You know, the spark plugs in our engine create an arc. And that is going to happen. Now, what else he talked about was that there was going to be a large planet that was going to come between the Earth and the sun about this time. Well, yeah, as I told you before, that's Nibiru passing between Earth and Venus and the orbit of Venus. And so the things that he saw all right, in his remote viewing back in 2004, 2003, and earlier. Yeah, dead on. And I actually was someone arranged for me to attend one of his remote viewing classes. I was interested. I wanted to see if remote viewing was something that you could use as a survival skill. And you certainly can. And it's something I would heartily recommend to your listeners, that they explore the possibility of learning how to remote view. It's quite simple. You just need to discipline yourself to it. And you don't have, it's not the same thing as doing psychic readings, which carry with it, if you don't really know what you're doing, you can get yourself into, a twist with that. There are dangers, so to speak. But with remote viewing, you don't have those dangers. Remote viewing is something that is used by intelligence agencies. In Russia, they use remote viewing. The United States uses remote viewing. Russians use psychics. So does the United States. Now, it's the difference of where they place the emphasis. In Russia, they like working more with the psychics, but psychics are difficult to find and groom. On the other hand, in the United States, they prefer working with remote viewing because this is something you can find a lot more folks to do, basically mainstream viewing. And then you're going to have your rock stars like an Ed Dames who can go take it to a whole new level. Now, Ed, for over the years, everybody has always asked him, Ed, what about Planet X? Ed, what about Planet X? And he just steadfastly sidestepped it every time. And finally, he was, he knew he was going to be doing his last major public presentation in August of last year in Las Vegas. And that was when he just came out and said, Planet X is real, and we are going to see it November of this year. And when we do, it's going to look about as large as the moon in the sky.
But Marshall, we should be able to see it long before it gets here, with the naked eye.
Well, we're seeing it now, but the problem is everybody always says, okay, I've been seeing images of this since 2008, for God's sakes, okay, with the imagery that leaked out of the South Pole Telescope. But see, when people see it, say, we're not seeing it, it's because they're not saying, well, I can't, I want to walk out in my backyard 24/7, anytime, night and day, look up and see it up there. I want to see it up there. I want to see it easy as I'd see the sun, or as easy as I'd see the moon. I want to see it with my own two eyes. And they don't understand. You see, that's the question that's going to get them killed. When they're asking that, when they're finally going, well, look at that. Phyllis, they're standing out there in their yard or standing out in the street with their neighbors, and they're looking up. Phyllis, what do you think of that? I don't know, Jerry. That's the darn strangest thing I ever saw. Well, Phyllis, let's go turn on the television, see what they say on CNN or Fox or MSNBC. And they're going to go in, turn on a fake news site. Okay. And what are they going to hear? They're going to hear, hey, folks, don't worry about it. It's just an interesting new kind of comet. And it's going to pass overhead. It's going to be a phenomenal light show, but nothing's really going to happen. Okay? And they're going to go and have all the buffer segments about going back to Halley's Comet, back when, and how people were suckered into buying gas masks and placebo comet pills by con artists, and all of the hysteria that formed around that was totally needless. And so they're going to embarrass everybody. See, the thing of it is, when you say, when am I going to see it with my own two eyes, what you're saying is, I'm too stupid to understand what I'm seeing with my own two eyes. I'm dumb. I got to have somebody else tell me what I'm seeing with my own two eyes because I'm stupid and I'm dumb and I can't understand what I see with my own two eyes. The people are going to live are the ones who are going to look up in the sky. And they're not going to say, what am I seeing it with my own two eyes? They're going to say, what am I going to believe that what I'm seeing with my own two eyes is a clear and present danger? Those are the ones that are going to live. The rest are going to drown like rats.
Okay, Marshall, we're running out of time, so let's get to it. How do we survive Planet X?
Well, you can follow. That's all the work that I'm doing right now. My book, Surviving the Planet X Tribulation, a Faith-Based Leadership Guide. And what I'm trying to do, I think that churches are going to be the ones most likely to organize people when there's the last possible minute. While everybody's watching them on CNN going, it's all nonsense, don't worry about it. You're going to have leaders of small churches going to go, no, it's clear and present danger. I got to get my flock to safety. And so what my efforts are right now is helping people organize in that last minute way, intelligently, without running around like a bunch of chicken with their heads cut off, okay? But that they can be calm, sober, do what they got to do, get to safety, and make life. But also it's about purposeful survival for an enlightened future. And that's what I'm all about. That's the reason why I founded Knowledge Mountain Church of Perpetual Genesis. And you can find that at knowledgemountain.org. My latest book, Survival, Wellness, Advocacy, and the Big Win. If you're interested in surviving, this is going to show you, it's going to give you a map, a plan on how to do that if you can't afford bullets, beans, and bunkers. And I give it away for free as an ebook. You can buy the print edition, but you can get the ebook for free from knowledgemountain.org. So everything that I do, Scott, Russell, everything that I do is I'm trying to help people to survive. That's it. Follow my work, visit my sites, but you got to be in awareness. You got to be ready to do it. Again, the three big killers: denial, procrastination, location. Those are the three things that are going to kill you dead sure. Dead sure. But if you're in awareness and you're doing something, I don't care if you can't afford a mountain of beans, then by God, be worth your weight in beans for some community that's going to form and go. And this me and mine prepping with just me and my family and my friends, those people are bunker bunnies. They don't understand. Yes, we are going to have all kinds of nasties out there, cannibals and whatnot. They're going to be a food source for those people. But communities, faith-based communities of 100 or more, they're going to be hard targets. And the nasties are going to leave them alone, and then they're going to go for these clever bunker bunnies that said, just me and my family, and everybody else can go to hell. I don't care about them.
I had Matthew Stein on the program maybe a month ago.
Matthew Stein, yeah, when technology fails. Fine, gentlemen.
That's right, yeah, MIT guy. And he told me the lone wolf, those are the first guys to go.
Yeah, he's absolutely right. He's absolutely right. But, you know, the reason why we do this, Russell, is because everybody's going and they're doing this old Cold War shelter strategy, NBR, and which is nuclear, biological, radiological. Now it is NBR plus earthquakes, and it's this sheltering thing. And the whole notion is just survive the initial event, and after that, take it as you go along. You're clever people. You'll sort it out. It has never been tried. It has never been proven. And yet, that's what people are doing. If you want to know how to survive this, think about the pioneers. Families got together, bought Conestoga wagons. They formed large wagon trains. They'd head west, spend a year looking at the south end of a northbound buffalo, okay? And when there was danger, they'd circle the wagons and cover each other's backs. And they had a low technology thing. Their solutions were low technology. So we do know the way to survive this. Our ancestors have shown us what works and what hurts. And that's important because survival is about learning what works and learning what hurts and learning enough about what works before what hurts kills you.
Καλώδια, νομίζω και εγώ ότι ήτανε. Νομίζω και εγώ καλώδια, γιατί δεν μπορεί σε δύο διαφορετικά σημεία αυτό το... Τελικά μου. Δεν θα αρχίσω, μου διέρισα βασιλικά. Τσακ, τσακ, σε δύο. Untuk pintu air yang di Pucang Gading bisa di
Barito, jadi kali Barito, ini jalan Barito.